You have seen him do it. The squirrel in your park, some cold October morning, an acorn clamped in his teeth, digging a hole the size of a teacup. He drops it in, he pats the dirt flat, he glances left, glances right, like a man hiding money, and then he is gone, off to do it again somewhere else. Here is what you are actually watching. He will bury thousands of nuts this autumn, every single one in a different spot, scattered across half the neighborhood. And months from now, hungry in the dead of winter, he will walk back to them through the snow. Not searching, walking. He remembers where they are. Think about what that would mean. It would mean the rodent you barely notice is carrying a map of your street, more detailed than any map you own. It would mean the lawn you cross every morning is somebody's bank vault. And it would mean that behind those little black eyes, a memory is doing something yours simply cannot do. Most people have a much simpler explanation, and it sounds completely reasonable. Everyone knows how he finds them. He smells them. Squirrels have a good nose. Buried food has a scent. Case closed. No memory required. Just wander around sniffing until the ground smells like lunch. It is a tidy theory, and for decades almost everyone believed it. Even scientists repeated it, because it felt too obvious to test. There is just one problem. Smell fails exactly when he needs it most. Scent barely travels through dry soil. It travels even worse through frozen soil. And when the ground disappears under 30 centimeters of snow, a buried acorn might as well be on the moon. Yet that is precisely when he digs midwinter. Deep snow, nothing to see, and almost nothing to smell, and he comes up holding dinner. He does not wander either. Watch him sometime. He crosses the lawn in a straight line, stops, and digs once. Not 10 holes. One. Straight down through the white at the exact spot where 3 months earlier there was bare ground and an acorn in his teeth. If his nose were the whole story, winter would kill him. Something else is going on. And in the early 1990s, 2 researchers caught it in the act. Lucia Jacobs and Emily Lyman at Princeton ran the experiment that changed the story. In 1991, they let gray squirrels bury hazelnuts in an outdoor arena, one squirrel at a time. Then, days later, they brought each squirrel back to an arena that now also held nuts buried by other squirrels, sometimes just a couple of meters away. Here's the trap hidden in that setup. If squirrels find food by smell alone, any nut should do, because a nose cannot tell whose hazelnut is whose. But that is not what happened. Each squirrel went back, again and again, to the exact spots where he himself had dug, his own caches, not the stranger's. The smell was identical. The locations were his. That is not a nose at work. That is memory, and not a vague memory of somewhere over there. He fixes each burial against landmarks, this bench, that tree, the corner of the fence, the way a sailor once fixed a position against the stars. Move the landmarks in an experiment, and his digging moves with them. To be fair to his nose, smell does help, right at the end, in the last few centimeters, especially in wet soil. Science is clear about the division of labor. Memory gets him to the right square meter. The nose closes the deal. A map in the head, thousands of pins, no paper. And then in 2017, it turned out the map was not just a map, it was organized. Mikel Delgado and Lucia Jacobs, the same Jacobs, 26 years later, now at Berkeley, spent 2 years following fox squirrels around the university campus. They handed out thousands of nuts, one at a time, almonds, pecans, hazelnuts, walnuts. Then they mapped where every single one went into the ground. The squirrels were not scattering them at random, they were sorting them. Almonds in one zone, pecans in another. Each kind of nut filed in its own district, even though every nut had been handed to them at the same spot. Scientists call it spatial chunking. You would call it what it is, a filing system. Fewer things to remember if the map itself has categories. It is the same trick you use in a huge parking garage. Level 3, blue section, near the elevator. He does that thousands of times per autumn, outdoors, in a territory full of look-alike trees, with no signs, no colors, and no elevator. And you are parking one car. He is filing thousands of them, in a garage that changes with every season, leaves down, snow up, branches suddenly bare, and he does all of it while being robbed. Robbery is the dark economy of squirrel life. A buried nut is money in the ground, and every squirrel around is a potential thief. Researchers estimate a squirrel can lose a substantial slice of his savings to pilfering neighbors. So evolution taught him something chilling. Watch who is watching you. In 2008, Michael Steele's team at Wilkes University in Pennsylvania documented gray squirrels doing something nobody expected from a rodent: lying. A squirrel who feels observed by another squirrel, or even by a human standing too close, will dig a hole, mime the burial, pat the dirt down over nothing, and trot away with the nut still tucked in his mouth. A fake cache, an empty safe, dug for your benefit. Once the audience loses interest, he buries the real nut somewhere else, and after he has been robbed, he fakes more often. Stop and feel the weight of that. Deception is not just memory. It means he holds a model of another mind. He acts on what someone else believes is true. Philosophers spent centuries calling that kind of thinking uniquely human. He is not just remembering his map, he is protecting it, from his neighbors and from you. All that hardware running in a brain the size of a walnut. And the strangest part of this story is what happens to the nuts he never comes back for. Even the best filing system loses files. A few caches out of every 100 are never reclaimed. The squirrel dies, or moves on, or simply never needs them. Those forgotten nuts do not go to waste. They germinate, buried at the perfect depth, spaced far apart, hidden from every other seed eater. A forgotten cache is the best planting a tree could ever hope for. Entire oak woods are standing today because squirrels remembered almost everything, and not quite everything. His memory built the forest. His forgetting planted it. Which means the oak outside your window may exist because some squirrel, a century ago, misplaced one file. And this superpower is not even his alone. Black-capped chickadees hide seeds by the thousand, too. And in 1995, researchers at Cornell found that the chickadee's hippocampus, the brain's memory center, actually swells in autumn, growing for the caching season the way muscles grow before a fight. A brain that changes size on schedule every single year, because remembering is that expensive, and that worth it. Your hippocampus is built on the same ancient design. The tool is not new. He just runs it harder than you ever will. If hidden animal superpowers like this get under your skin, stay close. The strange ones are only getting started. So tomorrow when you cross the park, look at him 1 second longer. He freezes, the way squirrels do, and looks right back at you. And somewhere behind those small black eyes, the whole neighborhood is laid out in pins and drawers. Every bench, every fence post, every secret. The park you walk through every day is someone's filing cabinet. You just cannot see the drawers.